Lots of equipment around that corner.
No. Oh. I don't know.
I thought it was two.
Alright, thank you. Bye.
We're going in from 30 to Bell Plain is rougher, it's not. It's 50 mile an hour. It'd be
The old section, about that first mile.
reach all the way into Bell Plain.
No, I didn't think so. That was just redone.
And then redone.
Are you talking on
The road that goes.
from 21?
No.
Are you talking the old, the
Yeah.
back way? Yeah, that's, yeah. I was on that one Sunday too. And you're right, it's rough and it's narrow and hilly. Well, I don't know, it would be 50.
Yeah, that's what the speed limit is.
Yeah, well, I didn't do 50.
From the courthouse,
Yeah.
okay, good, I'm not, I'm not for sure.
Yeah, you drive down that road 50 mile an hour, people are trying to pass you all the time.
Yeah. 2 years from now, it'll be worse shape.
It needs to be redone. It will need to be redone if it isn't now.
Yeah, it's probably good.
They were gonna take them down through Luzerne, but they couldn't do it because of that viaduct. There's a viaduct east of Bell Plain.
Yeah, yeah. It's, for semi-traffic, it's too low. I had an owner-operator try to take a shortcut once. He had a long ways to back up.
Oh, you don't have to back up too far, you a couple roads of gravel.
Well, it just disappears, doesn't it?
That's what it did last time.
Yeah,
Cause it said
you start hauling during the
memory is
second
full.
year.
It
Yeah.
won't back it up on the card.
It just kinda gets mushed in.
Stops.
Grandson decided to start hauling livestock, hogs. He's finding a lot of country roads.
This is the time of year he wants to do it too. Going to a farmstead someplace.
Where you going today? They'll rattle off the name of the town. It's like, yeah, I've never heard of that one.
We got 5.9 million mental health that we didn't spend, and it's gonna go back to the state if we don't find a way to spend it in the next couple of months.
Within the region.
With that,
Within the region.
Maybe.
Well, that's up to each county.
it's regional mental health.
Well,
So
okay.
region's gotta find a place for it, whether some people just, yes. But,
Well, I think we've done a pretty good job.
yeah,
Supposed to be down to about 40, aren't we?
That's what I wrote last time.
Yeah.
Although we gotta amend because that vehicle and stuff is, I don't know. We'll have to look at it after the budget.
If they've got 5.9, maybe they wanna help us with our towers.
it can't be,
Good morning, Ben.
Morning.
hey Ben,
How's it going?
I'm here,
Another day in paradise?
Money in front of the day,
what's going on?
corn down 35, beans are down 45,
What?
didn't stutter, did I?
Probably maybe did.
Crashed them yesterday, I mean,
They did?
yeah.
Are you ready, chief?
Yeah.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we do the liquor license real quick, for Watkins.
So moved.
You wanna look at it, anybody?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's like she's got a heavy sweater on, I think she's probably good.
my hands are fine.
Yeah.
Second that.
Okay, all in favor of approving the liquor license for the Watkins Community Athletic Club?
Aye.
Aye.
Gary, did you get a chance to look those over?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of approving the minutes from last week?
Aye.
Aye. About, number 5, set the public hearing date.
Yep, so, I was just looking at the calendar, I just sent out an email to the department heads. And I've already talked to a few, but regardless, with the mental health fund balance remainder, we need spending authority to pay that back to the region. So I'm looking, I wanna shoot for May 3rd, probably, that gives me time for the department heads and get the publication ready. So May 3rd at 9:30. And then we'll do our budget amendment. Do you want to wait until the actual hearing date, or do you want those department heads to come in and talk to you guys for their amendments? How do you wanna do that?
If they do it, it'd be, what, the week before?
Well, yeah, I need to know before the publication in the paper.
Yeah, yeah.
But for you guys to give them the approval, how, do you wanna wait till the hearing and let me go?
I just assume them come in and tell us what they're.
The Shelby, a
Kind
couple
of
of
what I was
Shelby,
trying to get at, was time frame.
so then we can start having them come in soon then.
Yep.
Sure, if they know what they need, why not?
The ones I've talked to, I think, yeah, so.
Okay, good. Well, then you need a motion to set that, hearing date for May 3rd, 9:30 a.m. That's my motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ben,
So just coming in today, we had talked before you guys approved, the IRBM internship and spray truck drivers for the year. I got an applicant for my internship, so I was coming in for approval on that today. So with you guys' approval, I'd like to hire, Jovis Shoemaker at $17 an hour for my IRBM internship.
Has he got any experience?
Yeah, he's got a background in conservation and he doesn't have his licenses yet, but he's very interested in getting his pesticide applicator's license. So my intention is to get him started on that right away, just so right now we haven't had a ton of interest in the driver positions. I'm hoping that we can get another applicant between either the internship or the spray truck driver so that we can keep both trucks running and have an extra person to do weed complaints and whatnot, like I had intended. So right now, if I can get him certified with this pesticide applicator's license, I can have my full-time guy run the truck and have the intern spray. That way we have both trucks running for sure for this season. My former spray truck driver, he did apply again, so I'll probably be bringing that into you guys maybe next week or something. But yeah, I'd like to get him started as soon as possible, just so we can get him certified, and we'll probably start our burn season here shortly, and we definitely need the extra help for that, so.
Do you have a chauffeur's license?
I don't believe so. My intention with the internship was always to help them get their CDL, but with the changes to it recently, I don't think that we're probably gonna wanna invest in that for seasonal, I guess. Right now, at least from what I've gathered, it's about $4,000 to run somebody through that program after the changes, so. That's definitely something that we'll probably wanna discuss if we do hire another full-time person down the road, if they don't have their CDL, just because that is a fairly significant cost in comparison to what it used to be, but at least the pesticide applicator's license and the burn certifications are still pretty affordable. It's just taking the time to sit down and test and everything, so.
Motion.
And I would second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome, thanks guys.
When is he starting?
What's that?
When is he gonna start?
I'd like to start them today if
Okay,
possible.
I'll make it effective today.
So, and then like I said, I'll probably come in next week on the spray truck driver stuff, once I see if I get any more applicants, just so we can approve them at the same time. But my intention with that was to start them here probably towards the end of April, just because that's normally when the guys are interested in coming on. Because we're gonna probably start roadside spraying right at the beginning of May then, so.
Okay, you got your chauffeur's license, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You seen when, your other seasonal one, he has his too, right? The other driver?
Yeah, yeah,
So then you got two
yeah,
legal
Wes
drivers.
has got his class A and he has he basically has no restrictions. I have a class B, so I can drive like dump trucks and
Yep,
stuff like
yep.
that, but,
Okay,
yeah.
so you got drivers for the trucks.
Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
and Luke, my former spray truck driver, he's got a class A CDL too, so.
Okay.
So we'll at least have 3 for that, so
Okay.
like I said, I may have to kind of hodgepodge it together with whoever can get their, spray license for the other truck, but we should be covered if I get
Okay.
on it here, so.
Alright,
Alrighty, thanks a lot.
thanks, bud. When's the vote over? 1:15 Christmas.
Do you wanna do the redistricting stuff, or you?
That's what Diane's here for.
I know, 5 minutes.
I really don't think it's gonna take that long.
Okay.
I talked a lot with Diane yesterday. For you guys to know, redistricting committee met last Friday. What the redistricting committee met and approved was to combine 2 precincts. Thank you. After talking with Diane quite a bit yesterday and various other individuals, I would recommend that the board not approve what the redistricting committee approved on Friday. If you look at the map, in the city of Walford, we have here, this is what it currently is at. This is the city, what's in red there is the city of Walford's boundaries. What's in green is Florence Township. Now you can see there's a little point that is circled there. That is, this is a census block, so if you turn it over, there's a census block. So the Secretary of State says that we have to put that into Walford precinct to make it contiguous. What that triangle consists of is 2 voters, or 2 people, not necessarily voters, from the census block. So the Secretary of State's office gave us 2 recommendations. This is what the redistricting committee voted on. They voted to combine Florence, St. Clair, Norway, and Walford together. After much, I've slept on it and much further thought and discussing with Diane, I don't think it's right to make all of Florence, St. Clair, Norway move because of 2 people. So I will have to get inventive in educating the public on that map, because what's in green goes to Norway. But a lot of this is businesses, is what Diane was talking about. So that triangle piece is the 2 individuals, so I will have to educate them and just tell them, hey, you don't go to Norway, you go to Walford. But that's the area that Diane is here to defend, and I do agree with her. I don't think it's right to move, I think it equivalents to about 1,200 people to go to Norway because of those 2 individuals, Walford, excuse me. The 2 individuals, you know, to make that contiguous, I understand what the Secretary of State's office is saying, because it has to have, you know, continuity with that. So we'll just have to educate the public. The other areas that we have worked with is because of the legislation districts. So if you look at your precinct map, we used to have Homer, Monroe, Jackson, Garrison together as 1 precinct. The legislation district, there's 2 districts here that separate that. So it actually divided Homer, Monroe, Jackson, Garrison. So we literally had no choice on the matter. We had to split that precinct up. So if you notice now, Monroe goes with Bruce Cedar, Mount Auburn. Homer goes with King Keystone. Jackson Garrison could have been left alone, but it was about 500 people. That's a very small precinct, just to do on its own. So we thought to merge it into the Secretary of State's office gave us 2 options to either, well, actually 3, leave it alone, or go south with Van Horn, or go east with Benton. I did a map quest, and it was upon the redistricting committee to go to Benton because we thought it was more of a natural direction that people are going to go for, you know, groceries and that sort, and it was a shorter distance versus to Van Horn. So what I present to you is this is the actual map that the redistricting committee approved, but what I'm suggesting, and I did talk to the county attorney's office, and the county attorney said you guys can authorize a different plan that the redistricting committee approved. So that's where Walford would still be its own precinct, Florence St. Clair would be its own precinct. It would bring, we're currently at 19 precincts in the county. It would bring us down to 18 because basically Homer, Monroe, Jackson, Garrison is dissolving because of that legislation district splitting them up. That's in a nutshell.
A couple days.
So this is the plan that I'm suggesting. This is the 18 precincts, and you look on the back, it breaks it out into how it's split up per precinct, and that's where number 2, those are those 2 people that we were talking about with that triangle piece. It still leaves the, you know, the population for 2020 census was 25,575. Yep. So not to take one to Diane's sales, but that's what, like I said, Diane and I talked many different times yesterday. I talked to the Secretary of State's office, I've talked to the county attorney's office, and like I said, I've slept on it, and I do agree with Diane, it's not right to make a whole area move because of 2 people.
That makes sense.
And I feel like I'm gonna spend more of my time on the phone.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Not just because of Diane, but of other people as well. So, that's that.
Does this go back to your board then, okay?
No, you guys can okay it here, is what county attorney said. You okay with that, Gary?
And once you guys do that, and once we get approval from the state, then we can finalize our ordinance again. I just didn't want to publish all that. We're glad we did.
We wanted to get formal approval from the Secretary of State's office before we did the ordinance. It just, you know, otherwise we're just gonna have to keep on publishing the paper and cost the county.
We think that area probably was overlooked 10 years ago, honestly. Just was never caught.
So with how maps are improving and everything else is caught now, which is just fine. A lot of times I can put billboards up and people still won't read them or where to go, so it is what it is. But that's the advice that I got from the county attorney's office.
Well, it makes sense to do that.
That's where, like I said, after talking to Diane yesterday, I didn't disagree with anything she said. I understood it, and I slept on it, and that's where I just wanted to come before the board and say, I don't approve, I want you guys to, or recommend that you guys approve what the redistricting committee approved. I think the alternative that I came up with is a much better decision.
Okay.
So I would
So
need
you
your
need a
signature on
motion
it.
to approve Gina's recommendation on the precincts.
Yes, on the redistricting.
That sounds right.
This is re-precincting, not redistricting.
Precincting.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes. That's my motion.
Second.
And then I'll need you to sign.
Aye.
Aye.
And if you could sign that, so I can send that to the Secretary of State's office.
Can I ask a question at this point?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay, I wanna make sure that Norway precinct is staying intact,
Yes,
Walker precinct is staying intact.
yes.
But are you moving that small piece that was difficult situation over to Walford?
Yes.
So that's no problem, we can
Right.
do like we always did in the computer and say, I'm sorry, you're at the wrong polling location.
Correct.
We have had a change, you will hear from now on.
Yep, and I will be working with those individuals and
Right.
trying to educate them and that sort of thing.
They'll get a notice from us in the mail,
Yeah.
and then we'll just change the maps to on
Match.
The Secretary of State's office, or by law, we are required to send mailings out to the voters that are gonna be switching precincts, so they will be getting mailings as well.
Okay,
And everybody affected in the Homer, Monroe, Jackson, Garrison will be getting mailings and
As
that
well.
sort of thing, so. But only those two individuals
okay.
will be getting that.
I wanna clarify something, it wasn't just me, I have a petition here.
No, I'm just saying she's here and I've talked to her many times. She was the point of
Unfortunately-
contact.
Unfortunately, I was point of contact, I was unduly elected to take this on.
Well,
For
she's been
our
my election worker for many, many years.
And we worked great together, so I reached out immediately to Gina as soon as, I missed the public notice, I did not see it, we do not get the Cedar Rapids Gazette, which you and I talked about. So I had no idea this was going on, or I would have saved her a lot of headaches 3 weeks ago and got involved and said, okay, this is what our community would like to see. But I didn't know, so I'm sorry, I apologize for my tardiness to the table and all the phone calls yesterday, but that's kind of,
Like we talked about, there's always gonna be upset people that have to do.
Absolutely.
And we can't.
I know. And that was the big thing for our community, it was just like, wait a minute, we're talking about 1,200 plus voters versus 900. We're state approved ADA facility, we handle everything well in our elections, why change us, you know? So anyway, that's what.
Sometimes it's just different point of view that you have to take time and put in consideration, and that's why I presented it, so.
So, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And a hassle.
Every 10 years, we're gonna do it again.
It's the same, yeah, it's a
Census.
census, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's driven, and that's the way it is, I get that.
And we hope that it's accurate, if people fill them out properly, and,
Well, and that's the thing,
Yeah.
going into 2020 with COVID,
yeah. That's
really
just-
truly how accurate is the census, I don't know.
So I did nothing, Gina did it all, and I wanna thank you for letting me speak. And it's all approved, right?
Yep.
We're good.
Well, the Secretary of State's office has to approve
Yeah.
it,
The final.
but they
Yeah.
approve what I said.
All right. Thank
And
you.
then I will publish an ordinance and it'll reflect all those things.
Okay, I will get the feedback to our community, because they're all shopping at the bed, wanting to know.
I already talked to Bruce this morning and told him what my intentions were.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for that. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
See you.
See you.
Kristen.
Hello, I've got kind of a lot of papers.
Good morning.
Those are just copies, good morning. So I'm gonna give Tracy, I'm gonna give you all the masters. Guess I don't normally like to stand, but I'm gonna stand and then I'm gonna hand him things just because I didn't make copies. I don't wanna kill a bunch of trees for everything. So the first thing I'm handing Tracy is the MOU that we did for the secondary road union. We met, we came up with the items that I forwarded you all. So I have the master copy, if approved for you to sign. I I mimicked the last one we did where just the chair signed, and then Myron, if approved, Myron will drop in before his board thing and he'll sign his part, and then I'll get Haley a copy of that. This is the master copy, you guys have this is the 28A agreement with ISAC, I made you a copy, this is the master one. And then these documents just need your signature, they go with it, it's just basically approving our individual benefits. And then here's the 2 final policies for signature that I sent you guys. Kind of a lot of paper to track. So let's start with the MOU. If there's any questions, or I don't know really what we need, if you need just for them to approve it, or.
I think just, I was looking back to see, we just did that one with,
Ron.
mental health last year.
Okay. So we'll just go one at a time, and we'll start with the MOU, and then I can talk about the 28E agreement and where that came from.
Well, I read over the memorandum.
Yes,
I didn't have any real questions over it.
it was pretty well thought out, and they agreed
Yeah.
with what we requested.
Yeah, I mean,
That was discussions between Myron, Tracy, myself, and the attorney who was helping us.
yeah, I didn't have questions.
Okay.
And it's good with the union,
Yep,
et cetera,
yep.
so.
Yep, they're signed off, so it's just up to us now.
Did you have any questions, Gary?
Not really.
Okay.
Oh, I had one. 10%. This whole thing is just nuts.
I think that's more of a statement, but you're correct. It is nuts, but
So we won't have no problems, what we discussed earlier with the
No.
individuals? Good.
no, we should be
All I
good.
wanna hear.
No, we should
I
be good.
want them taken care of.
So we have a few new hires who will be slightly negatively impacted by the hours moving, set hours moving from 45 to 40 in a week. So we're working on a separate MOU with the union to allow a resolution for them that would allow a little bit of carry forward of some comp time so that they have some time to use until they get to their year anniversary. But that's a separate topic I'm working on with the union, but just so you guys know that will hopefully be probably next week's meeting. I'm assuming I'll have something. It's in the union's hand at the moment. So, yep. I want to treat this as separate because this is the union body as a whole did this, and then we'll work on that other thing. I don't anticipate any issues.
I don't see it as a problem.
I'll take a motion,
Well, then I'll give you that motion.
okay?
Second.
All in favor of letting me sign the memorandum of understanding? Or which one union was it?
Secondary road.
Secondary.
Yeah,
road.
secondary road.
You didn't have a number, so. Okay,
Aye.
I'll just collect all my papers for you at the end, Tracy, because I've got quite a few.
And basically, it's just to finish up the contract.
Yes,
Yeah.
yep. And then we have some things that we want to address.
Sure.
And how long does that contract last?
One more year,
One more year.
through June of
we
2020.
start dealing in July
Yes.
of this year. So really,
So then, the next item I'll discuss is the 28E agreement. I meant to copy that in the email I sent, I didn't. It's a whole lot of words, but basically, this is what we have been doing with ISAC anyways. We've been acting as kind of the de facto 28E agreement. ISAC had just gotten some legal advice that said that they should do official agreements with all of the counties. I talked about this with Katie. She basically said it's standard, it's not a big deal, and this is how we've been operating anyways. They just want us to put signatures to it now, that, you know, we're basically contracting our benefits through them. So in order to stay on our benefits with ISAC, we have to sign the 28E agreement and give them the official agreement. And then Tracy has a few other papers that only need one signature. They're just signing off that what health plan we have, what dental plan we have, what vision. It's just an annual recertification of the benefits we're going to keep carrying with ISAC.
I understand the 28E.
Yeah, I mean,
It makes sense.
yeah. It's basically apparently what's happened. It's how it's been operating. They just need the official signatures per Katie through benefit partners. So.
I don't have any questions.
Okay, I don't either.
So, we need a motion to authorize this signing of the 28E.
Correct.
Yep, that's by resolution, is next week.
Okay, that's how we're here.
Wanna jump on that here?
Oh, second.
I didn't make the motion. Did I make the motion?
Yeah, I thought you made the motion.
No.
But I'll make the motion to sign it.
Okay,
And I will second that.
by resolution.
Check out.
Primer, aye.
Seaman,
So I think they all just need Tracy's signatures, including those.
except for the resolution.
Well, we can find those when we do the minute book. too.
Okay. Well, you got them here, we'll do it right
I was just thinking the ones I need so I can give them to ISAC.
now. Holiday pay.
Oh yeah, and then those are the one I forgot to put lines on, so I just drew some lines on, but I'll let you guys sign these and then we can talk about the.
Donated leave.
Yep, so I sent the policy out, I left it marked up for you all to see the changes, the one you have is the final copy. So we had an individual who ended up needing donated leave, and it's kind of easier to address the policies as needs arise versus looking at a handbook at one time. The changes were fairly minor. I just added a few words, and then the one big change that I added was we have a lot of employees with a lot of sick leave hours and a lot of employees who maybe don't have tons of vacation hours. So I did add a 20-hour per person per occurrence sick leave donation. It won't impact anybody's budget because basically how the donated leave works is it's paid through the department that the person works in. So if I have 20 hours of sick leave and I'm giving it to, person A over here, person A's department's already budgeted for that person, it pays out of theirs. So I just thought it was another way, particularly when we have new employees, to get them some time if they have, like we just had, kind of a catastrophic illness where there was literally nothing they could do, and they, did go without pay for some of it, but we were able to get them some pay for some of the others. The other thing I guess I did change was we had a 40-hour cap of what people could donate for vacation. We had some individuals who were going to lose through their own accord some, higher amounts than that. I feel if somebody has the vacation and they're not going to use it, and we have somebody who really needs it, I don't see any reason why they can't donate more than the 40 hours again, there's no budget impact to that person's budget, it comes out of the others. So those are the main things. The other things were just where the forms are. And then I added the statement at the bottom that it's voluntary, you know, nobody can coerce anybody, all that. I found that statement, I thought that would be helpful to add in there. So I feel like they're pretty basic changes. I just think they will be helpful to those who want to give and those who need to leave.
Okay.
Any questions on that one?
No.
So I believe that's a resolution too, right?
So move.
And I read it over earlier, so, and I would second it.
Resolution,
Your check out.
Bremer, aye.
Seaman, aye.
So then the next one would be the time off benefits. Again, not a ton of huge changes. With the MOU from the union, that changes their holiday from President's Day to Martin Luther King Day, as we've talked about previously, to try to get on the same page, at least for that holiday, for the state, for the buildings being open, etc. That was proposed to the sheriff's union. We're still waiting on a response from them. I imagine we're gonna get that as well. So then with this, everybody would be switched to Martin Luther King Day instead of President's Day once we get the sheriff's office MOU done. I did work with Shelby and Conservation to remove that basically Christmas Eve falls Monday through Friday, that Conservation didn't get the holiday. We didn't really see that that made sense. It should just be the same as everybody else. Let me see. Oh, and then for Conservation, we just changed it so that their holidays match everybody because their schedules are so crazy. And Shelby, if they're regularly scheduled a holiday or they end up working a holiday, per what's already in the policy, she'll just let them schedule an alternative day off. So that's not really a big thing. So one other thing I changed, we have in here that new employees should not be paid for holidays for 30 days. And I honestly think that that's not really the right. Hi, welcome to Benton County. You got hired on right before, right at Thanksgiving, and you don't get paid for potentially 4 holidays. It's just not a good look. So to me, if we hire someone, regardless of when we hire them, they should get the holidays. The personal day and the birthday holiday will remain. They get it after 30 days. That's how it's been. So that won't change. It would just be that you could have holidays right away. I know they can't help when we hire them. I think it's just not a good look to not pay them when they start. So, I mean, again, pretty minor changes, just some upkeep things and some cleanup things. So.
I didn't have any issues with it,
Me neither.
and so I'd make a motion that we approve the changes.
Second.
Resolution,
Bremer, aye.
Your check out.
Seaman, aye.
And then hopefully I'll be back next week with the other secondary road MOU, and hopefully we'll hear from the sheriff's office soon and get theirs done as well. And Haley, I'll get you the copies with all the signatures when we get my ones. Yes, he is. He called and asked if he needed to show up, and I told him he could just come. And he just said it.
All these?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, it's just they're making us sign off that we are indeed have those individual benefits with them, so. Told you it was a lot of paper I was bringing in here this morning. It was a lot.
Authorized decision maker
Yeah.
and signature. What's the difference?
Oh, I think it wants your name. I I think it wants your printed name. I think they just have to make stuff sound fancy, so instead of putting printed name.
Would you rather have other titles, Jason?
I mean, I suppose I can edit that for you if you'd like.
You've been called worse,
On
right?
film.
Yeah, I said for the real titles, you know, I took them off and made them PG. Thank you.
No problem, thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get into number 2. Discuss and waive the penalty for the parcel.
Can I give that back to you? Code section, if you do like.
I understand the confusion. Morning, sir.
Howdy, folks. What's good word today?
No snow yet.
Is it saying that
Supposed to get it?
Yeah.
soccer started, so we got.
I say no to that.
I think she's got a copy of the old one, the way it was recorded.
That was the most recent document that came through.
Well, that's the recent one.
That's what made the change in
Yeah.
real estate software, is because of that document.
Did you folks get your re-precincting thing done already?
Yes, we did.
What did you do? I'm asking, what did you do?
We're going the way Gina suggested to do.
Okay,
Just alter with that
Yes.
census block if it affects 2 people. Right now it affects 2 people.
Yeah.
okay, so you're going with what the, what do they call it?
Wait a minute, we're not going what the committee said, no.
I misunderstood. You're doing what instead?
What Gina said, we're still gonna have 2 precincts.
They're not gonna put Norway over the wall.
We're not gonna throw them all together.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood it. I thought the re-precincting commission or whatever they call that had made that recommendation.
No.
You know, but they did make the recommendation, but Gina gave them the alternative method to not
You
go
went
with
with the
that.
alternative, gotcha.
Yeah.
Means there's only 2 people.
Well, at this time, that census block, it could be missing or whatever. But
Yeah.
like I said, I still think that was overlooked 10 years ago.
I'm gonna start with the, if you're ready for me with the easy thing first.
We're discussing the tax deal for the parcel.
Then I will let you do that. I thought you were waiting on me.
No, you're early back.
I don't think any of this has changed from 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, it's unfortunate.
And I think last time Melinda said it was 106. So.
106. Yeah. I think there's a whole lot of confusion. Right, wrong, or otherwise.
As I said, and we have to go off of what's recorded in the documents we get.
Yeah, I've heard it.
Otherwise, we don't know what everybody's agreeing.
I suggested the last couple of weeks that you did not make a mistake.
No, I don't believe it's a mistake either.
Yeah.
Unless the attorney made a mistake, and that's not on us, that's not our report.
Tough thing, very, very tough. I mean, it's gonna happen again. It's probably happened in the past, but this is one that came up before us. And we can't help ones that do or don't come before us.
penalize Mr. Bremer?
Who is?
Well,
Potentially.
we listed it by a
Well-
parcel number.
You did, I'm sorry,
It's by a parcel number, but if you
Yeah.
wanna look at the document, you wanna get his.
was this a tax issue?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it was originally a contract, but there was a document that come through and told us to change who the tax statement went to. And then the previous contract buyer did not get a copy. But if you read that document, it's saying they hereby give unto the other people who we mailed it to.
Okay,
So-
and you said that some attorney prepared a document on behalf of this taxpayer?
Yes, so I'm saying what we have to take for granted is what's recorded and
Sure.
what we get to
Would you
look
like
at.
to read it?
No.
Okay.
Unless you want me to, I mean, it's.
Well, I mean,
it
you
sounded like
can
had a-
show him how it reads it, and that's I'm just saying, we didn't make a
You
mistake.
said you had,
He's got
it
it.
sounded like you had a course of action you were about to propose, but I can look at it. Gary, doing today? Good, how are you? Not too bad, but you know, Gary, as I say, it's relatively early, that could change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so first and foremost, it's not the county's mistake. Okay. That's an important distinction.
But I always say, this is the time of year when our mistakes do come public. And they usually wait till the second half. That's right. Or like the credit.
What's the penalty?
106.
So this, assignment of contract was recorded with my eyes,
Yes,
looks like September of 2020.
yes, and that's when the document got changed on the computer. So,
Well. What do you wanna do? It doesn't sound like the county made a mistake.
Well, see, that's the way I feel bad about it, but we got a motion right now to.
I didn't make a
We
motion.
didn't make a.
I think you start to say,
Okay,
okay, calling, but
Yeah.
I feel bad too, if the two parties would have communicated and said, hey, mail an extra statement, we don't have a problem doing that either.
Like you got it now.
Yeah, we did now after talking to them,
now
but
it's
before we were brought to our attention, we wouldn't have known that.
The other side of the coin that concerns me is, yes, it's only $106, but what if we get another one and it's much more?
And
Or
that
even
was
less.
Melinda's concern when she talked to
Yeah.
us.
You know, so this is a catch-22.
I don't know why they're making such a big deal out of it, it's $106, you pay it, forget it.
Well, one feels it wasn't their fault, one party,
I understand.
and, you know, one of the two parties involved was at fault, if you will, and the county was just there. You know. So,
I'm not trying to, throw. There's a sentence here that says that somebody supposedly said that on behalf of the county that they had read it wrong. and that it was their fault.
That's what the implication
That's
was.
what this person is alleging. Is there,
Yeah, I don't know on
I mean, is
that.
there any truth to that? Because, you know, if the county made a mistake, then you probably should.
I think originally before she pulled the document was when that happened, and then I made him get the
Well, from
document.
what I can see here, you know,
Yeah.
this was recorded, this assignment of contract was recorded back in 2020.
Right.
And you signed a contract for how that person is responsible for making the payments.
Well, I think originally because when it showed who edited the software before they pulled that document, and that's why she said,
She
well,
commented before
she
pulled
commented and
everything
said,
up.
well, I'm the one that changed the record,
Gotcha.
because it'll tell you what user changed the record.
So that was written before.
Yeah, that was original the same one day, and then I said, well, let's research, pull the documents and see what happens.
Well, then I'll view the south end of the northbound horse and I'll deny the claim. That's my motion. Deny the request.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, and also, I don't know if Haley had pulled this, just after the fact, but when it comes to payment of taxes, you know, the last sentence of 445.36 sub 3 says failure to receive notice, your tax notice, is not a defense to payment of the total amount due. I mean,
Right. Kind of like similar to the last week's situation, that people still know they own the property.
We all know we owe our taxes, whether you remember getting the notice or not, or saw the notice or not, or accidentally threw it away, or whatever's going on.
all right. Now with you, David. I'll do the easy one first. You folks wanted to renew, I believe, the old school produce lease. And so what this lease does is essentially, you know, starts April 1st, which is in 2-3 days, and it will go for this year and next year. It's still $1 a year. We can, it says, obviously, that what they're leasing doesn't cover the transportation building or the service center building. And under paragraph 8, it terminates when it expires, or we have the right to terminate the lease for next year, provided we do so by December 31st of this year. Ray Walston has checked this over and said he is more than okay with this if you folks are, but if you want it changed, we'll make changes.
What's the, our tax liability if we get money for the garden? Does that $1 make us liable for the taxes on that?
Well, that honestly, I don't know. I would think not, since we're doing it for a nonprofit group. It
And there
doesn't-
is not assessed it, no.
Yeah, I don't think so.
The only thing we get refunded back is we charge them for that water intake, or the separate water bill too.
But we're just getting reimbursed for that.
Yeah.
We're not making money on it.
Correct.
I just didn't wanna get us into tax liability on that.
Well, I don't think that we are. And the other thing is I think would this be at least the third, it's either the third year or the fourth year of doing this.
So it works out great.
So it seems like it's a pretty good program.
It's an excellent program. The only thing that ever bothers me is, as spelled out in item 10, the insurance, the liability. I mean, we're still liable for up to $1 million per occurrence.
Well, is that something you want to propose changing?
I don't know how we change it.
Well, we haven't signed this yet.
And
You can make them get insurance.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I can't remember why we did it this way back when.
Well, unless this was just a boilerplate lease.
Well, typically the tenant has insurance. I can't remember, but I thought there was a reason, I can't tell you what it was, but I thought there was a reason why we did it this way.
We have something from Hardman maybe back then.
I don't recall. It's not a very good trade-off.
Well, I don't think we need to add anything to our insurance, correct? We should be covered the way it is right now.
I'm sure it's covered.
Yeah, right now, but it ain't, getting back to Gary's deal, that dollar ain't costing us.
Additional.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
totally get it, I really do. I just
Yeah.
hate to see it cost us.
I know it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just we got her on the parks, you know, I mean, the courthouse, the sheriff's office.
I know.
the building.
Yeah, I get it.
I would assume it's covered.
I think so,
Yeah.
It's just one general.
I don't know if it makes you feel any better, paragraph 12, right now, with this draw, we're providing the general liability insurance. The 12, they have to indemnify us if, you know, the damage is done by, you know, their act or their negligence.
Except for the negligence of the landlord.
Right, well, you're always usually
Yeah.
responsible for your own negligence, but.
But they're doing their own mowing and all that inside
Yeah.
that stuff, so.
Yeah, I mean, if you want it changed or proposed, it's not an agreement yet, it's only agreement when both sides sign it.
Well, I think it looks all right.
Let it roll.
Alright.
Need a motion to approve it?
Yes, I do.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor of approving the contract with Old School Produce?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. You've signed it, do you want me to secure Mr. Walson's signature? I will take it back?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you can take it, or you could maybe actually leave it with the security here in the building. You know, because,
Well, that's an idea.
you follow me?
I was just gonna scan it and email it to him, and have him send me back his version of the signature page, but if Mr. Stallman will do that, I think he will, that works
All
too.
here.
Does this have to be recorded?
Well, that's awful good.
Before?
We haven't, I don't think we've recorded it in the past, we can record it if you want, but it's, yeah, it seems like they're running a pretty good program, and I haven't heard any complaints about them, so. I think they're good folks to do business with. Hopefully, that'll continue. So, moving on, so on this, loan to the Benton County Agricultural Society, or the, fair, I'm gonna bow out for 1 week on that, because I've got a couple of questions.
Okay.
But I've got a couple of legal questions on how I wanna word stuff. I have an agreement, but I don't like it. So let me ask a couple more questions while I'm here.
Okay.
Well, first question, are you guys gonna be meeting before Tuesday?
We'll meet this afternoon, or this
Well,
evening.
that's,
Or meet us guys?
Yeah, you guys have board meetings like on Friday.
Till next Tuesday.
Well, then I would bow out or wait till next Tuesday.
Okay.
But, so they're gonna receive $120,000, and we're calling it a loan. I may choose to change it to a grant.
Okay. How about a forgivable loan? That'll work?
Well, we have a couple other questions,
Go ahead.
but it's 1.5% on the interest. Tracy has suggested to me that their first payment would be, like say October 1st of 2023, so not this year, but October of next year. Does that sound like that would be okay?
when are we giving them the funds? Does it say that?
This fiscal year.
Current year.
Yes.
Yeah, well, if
Yes.
we can get this done next week, they sign it and you issue the check.
Cause I gotta make sure if it's in our amendment or if we already have the spending authority or vice
You
versa.
have talked about doing the local option sales tax money. Is there any chance you could use that ARPA funding? Is that how you say that? ARPA?
This,
I don't think we're supposed to with nonprofit stuff like that. Or I mean, actually, I take that back. There is a portion, if you read through that big article I sent everybody in that committee. Cause some counties are actually letting other nonprofits apply for it, but didn't we intend to keep it outside?
Because there's specific code chapter 174 of the code. The reason I'm asking about the ARPA money, I don't know how much the county has left. I was planning on going to the meeting at 1 and learning more. I don't know what you got. But you are entitled to give a fair that's in good standing, as we've talked about in the past, fundage. You're entitled to fund them under chapter 174. And so my question is, I haven't looked at the ARPA rules. Is that something that might be more beneficial to use that money? Or, I mean, are you running out of uses for it? I guess I don't know, of the ARPA funds.
No, I don't think we're gonna run out of
Oh,
uses.
yes, okay.
No, and I think originally their intent was not to open it up to those, because then we would be getting bombarded.
All right, so it's 120,000, but you folks are prepared to forgive 60,000 of it once they've paid it down to a balance of 60,000 or less. My question is, if that's truly the case, it would be easier for my drafting if you were giving them a larger appropriation of 60, and we're doing a loan agreement for 60. See what I'm saying?
Rather than their 26,000 a year we give.
I guess what I'm looking at.
I mean, you're
lose interest on that.
Well, you're not really charging very much interest.
I know.
So.
And the intent was, if we basically a 50-50 deal, it incentivized, gave them the incentive to get out there and raise funds, not just sit back.
That's the kicker. We gotta motivate them.
Well, that's what we.
Yeah, I'm gonna respectfully say, I don't know how much motivation this is.
Yeah.
But I think they're still counting on getting 24,750 each year. I don't think they're really having, not that they should have to, but I don't think they're really in a situation where they have to stick their neck out.
But I was
But that's fine.
I was of the opinion that, yes, that's the 24/7, something we do every year for their budgeting and for 4-H, et cetera. And this is over and above.
All right, so let me finish this up. I'll have something back next week.
Okay.
And don't be terribly shocked if I just say it's easier to just do the extra grant of 60 and go to a loan for 60.
Getting back to the ARPA fund, that's where I thought, my opinion, lawyer, but the ARPA money is supposed to be spent, alright? If we're giving them 60,000 and then they turn around and gotta give us back, you're not spending it, because you're gonna end up getting it back.
Sure.
You follow me?
Sure.
So I don't think, maybe we could give the 60,000 that you don't wanna claim out of the ARPA fund, which we're forgiven,
But not the
but
full
the other
120.
60,000 will have to come from the county itself.
Yeah, but and I'll be honest with you, my question on this isn't so much these terms, because I have something that I've drafted. I've got to do a little bit of research because there's some statutes out there that talk about counties, when it comes to making investments and stuff. There's limitations on what you folks can do, and then all of a sudden, the question I've got is, I know that 1.5% is a very high interest rate, but it's still, you'd be making some money off of it. Does that run us afoul of some other code prohibitions? So I'm just gonna take a week and get it all sorted out.
Okay.
Well, we were trying to,
Motivated.
well,
Oh, no,
there was a
I
motivation factor, plus also it's such as the county roads that, we get property owners doing half of, and it's not free money. So, yeah. Okay.
I'll see you next week on that.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
And then question, have you gotten to your items 11 and 12 about using ARPA funding? for
No,
those
but
things?
I brought those in. because I'm having them act on any ARPA invoices paid as a separate motion. So I have to keep track of it differently.
We can do them right now while you're here.
Well, I just wanna make sure that Mr. Denisi, if we're proceeding and got a signed contract, says we're proceeding, that I know from originally talking to him, he was talking about end of March, sometime early April, once it warms up, want to be down here,
Mm-hmm.
and we're kind of at the end of March.
Okay. You get a check in the mail there.
So if I walk out this door knowing that, yep, you've approved it,
Okay.
I'll send an email saying, this is what's going on, we're using this funding from the federal government.
And this one's for,
And the check will be in the mail soon, or else Gary Gershnik will drive it up to you in the Twin Cities.
I gotta go up that way anyway.
There you go.
Wrong direction, thought you were going to Texas.
Take it out to see the answer.
Oh, I did. Sorry to hear.
here's the clock tower, so you know about that one.
Was that the one look for a third?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the True North, that's part of the radio project. one.
And we already talked about that.
Yeah, we just needed them on.
Was that like
It's on the
100,000?
agenda, no, this is only for 29.
Yeah, it's just another.
2,952.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. I've already seen this.
Okay, so the motion, you've got them listed separate.
Separately.
So we'll keep it separate, so let's do the True North, I guess, first.
And that was for,
Okay, the radio project,
We'll look for some kind of consultant.
what was that amount again, please?
$2,952.
So moved.
And seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that one's done. Now we will do the mechanical watch supply.
Clock tower,
Yep,
and that was like 19, wasn't it?
19,500. Third down.
I'll make that motion that is approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do you want to just initial both of those?
Yes, I will.
I don't wanna promise anything, other than I think you'll be happy with this vendor for the clock.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll do this, but I do know that for another county, when he redid their clock, he actually brought it back and reassembled it, I believe, on their first floor, and let it set for a couple of days, so folks could come in and look at it, because, you know, folks can't traipse all the way up to see it in person. And then he disassembled it and took it out as part of the price. I don't know if he'd do that in this situation or not, or maybe he would, maybe Rick Wood wouldn't want that stuff on his floor, I don't know.
My understanding, he's gonna retire. This is the last project he's doing.
He's not retiring, he's retiring from the rest, it sounds like restoration of the large clocks. But he's told me, he'll repair any watch or clock he got, mantle clock, or wristwatch, whatever. He's gonna concentrate on smaller things, but then he's also gonna be out there for maintenance of the things that he's done. So he's not retiring, he's just retiring from climbing ladders up into towers. Maybe he can help it. Maybe he's retiring is the wrong word, he wants to scale back on some of that.
Okay. On a side note, have you talked to Shelby about that little?
No, but I've got her on my list of things to
Okay.
do today. We've had some other stuff kind of blowing up.
Okay. Yep.
And one of which I let you know about.
Understood. Okay, thanks, Dave.
All right, no problem.
Before you leave, I know reports aren't on here, but if I may jump on that, one of the meetings I had this past week, was Central Iowa Juvenile Detention, and there's a 28E agreement that they want to do some clarification and changes on, and so I thought I would, make sure David has a copy of this.
Sure.
They're pretty minor.
Very
Very
give me that copy or something you're gonna email me?
Just take it.
Or I may have a copy maybe can hand it back to you.
We will have to, or give Haley a copy, I think would be the prudent thing. We will end up having to formally accept, but they're very, very minimal in there. Some of the changes, so.
So did they get their, new addition done?
Oh, gosh, no. No, it's in the process.
So, Rick, is the code on this, the, red gets stricken, green is the addition?
That is correct.
It does look pretty minimal. I will get back to you yet this week.
Would you forward a copy of that?
Yeah,
Or,
I'll copy you and you. Does anybody else need a copy?
oh, I'll make sure the others have it.
Okay, just don't like comment back on it,
Sorry,
like all at the same time. Sure.
I should have made extra copies, sorry.
Oh, that's fine. You get a copy back.
Sweet, thank you.
All right, folks, I'm gonna bow out.
Thanks, Dave. Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Somewhere to be here.
I'm part of that, if I may continue with Central Iowa Juvenile Detention. The actual meeting was about 30 minutes long. But then we went into, legislative, we had members of the legislature there, and we visited with them and told them some of the inequities and how the funding was, divvied up from the state. And this was some of the issues with that. Thank you.
You want me to print it or somebody?
Print one sign date. I'm having everyone do those from now on. Keep her form.
Very good. So who was first?
I don't know. I think I'm sorry for them.
You did?
I'll give you my old one.
Okay, continue.
You got old ones still?
Yeah, we did the old one.
That was not working.
What do you got?
Could've got it in today. What's that one?
The old one? Or this one?
Oh, that one, if it was on there originally, it would work.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, Gary mentioned the building, how that was coming, and that's designed. You saw how, on the news, of a juvenile that, has been charged with, murder and has now turned 18 years of age, and how they have to shift him from one side of their jail to the other. This is basically what this addition is those juveniles that are adult weight, if you will. So, and this is an example of some of the charges, and some of them are pretty serious charges, and they're kind of all in a mixed group. And so some of these other offenders can influence the younger. They've got kids up there that are 10, 11 years old. And so you get other juveniles that are 17, that's pretty intimidating. So that's hence the new building. So, but, yeah. And then this one shows Benton County where we are, where we stand.
The state is flipping the bill for the new building.
I'm sorry?
The state is flipping the bill for the new building.
No, sir.
No?
Sir. It's all central Iowa.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah. And so the funding that comes from the state is what we feel is the inequities.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on expenditures. What's your cost of doing business? Well, just because you hire staff and pay them more doesn't mean that you should get a larger slice of the pie. It's actually what you're doing that should be the criteria. Who you're serving and how many. So we had about an hour with the legislature people.
I don't know if there's that central. That central part of it, this juvenile detention takes care of tremendous amount in the central part of the state.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know if that's in there or not.
It is right here.
They do a heck of a job.
Dark green.
Yeah. What's those half counties, like Buchanan, Crawford?
Well, they use two different facilities.
Oh. Okay.
That's what that is.
And Tama, the Indian reservation, must not.
What can I say? But it's not only the member counties, but it's the affiliated counties as well. I mean, there's a lot of affiliates.
What are like Winona and these over here?
Independent.
Oh, they take care of their own.
They take care of their own.
And Lynn don't use them either, do they?
That's one. I have a couple others. I'll do that after that.
Myron,
Give that to
Born.
Keep
Late.
it.
that's all right. You had a full slate of items earlier, so I was taking care of the signature needed for your earlier item down the hall first, but I got here.
If you're like me, you probably didn't get much done yesterday, so.
You were exactly right. I only did that for my household last night.
Thank you.
And asked the question, I said, I started my day at the end of the day.
That didn't help us.
Last Monday, Tuesday, got contacted by the DOT for this pre-construction agreement in front of you. Like projects before us, 218 interchange, Highway 150, Highway 21 interchange, the first leg of the current 4-lane on Highway 30. I think Highway 21, I did the same thing, but the intersections, the Rock Road, Deer Road intersections, DOT just does a 10-foot paved filling next to the approach, so to speak, next to the main highway. County wants to do extend it back farther than that 10 feet, then they'll tie it in with the project, but it's gonna be the county's cost. And this agreement is to do the second leg of Highway 34 lane from 11th Avenue drive to 16th Street, so you're talking the 21 finished product to Luzerne intersection, and will tie into what they're grading right now on Highway 30, doing those, what was it, 9 intersections. Paving back 60 feet, so you've got a paved approach, motor graders doing their routine maintenance, don't have to pull out the
pavement, transitioning from a flat, basically highway to a crown, where it meets up with gravel, and it's a lot easier to keep that, maybe not pothole free, but much less potholes, like you notice in other intersections when, adjoining road meets right up to the edge of the highway. And so, their estimated cost at today's cost, we're doing that 60 feet at those 9 intersections, is gonna be about $199,000 that we would have to pay. But my recommendation is to go ahead and have them do that with those intersections, and for that, I need approval from the board, and I need the signature from the chair and the others.
So moved.
Makes sense. And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Blairstown blacktop or whatever, it's low. They can build that all up through there. The Blairstown blacktop is low, it looks like it. Highway 30's gonna be higher, about 4 or 5 feet.
No, they'll just have drop off.
Well,
Yes,
the old road,
Highway 30 is good.
the old road's low,
Yeah, I get it.
and then they're gonna have to have,
I forget how far back they're going, I'd have to look at the plan.
it's quite a ways.
There's a decent distance that they're going north, and, well, they won't have to go as far north because you tie into, I mean, it's low there too, but that's got an incline that goes up fairly quickly, so you're gonna be able to match that grade in front of, Open's house pretty quickly. No, cause there's, I think similarly, would be 19th Avenue, our RDC moved their substation from the southwest corner to the northeast corner. That's gonna get raised up considerably too. It won't be a draw, like it is now, and I would think that both. They'll have to, in that case, taper into the rock both north and south, but the Highway 30 intersection is gonna sit higher than what it does now. Doug has been talking to Doug Kern's shop foreman, Martin Equipment, and Althofer, the two heavy equipment dealers. Actually, we've been talking to Country also. All three of them have either got us used or new motor graders in the past. Right now, we're trying to find a good used piece of heavy equipment. It's nearly impossible either to find or find with any guaranteed timeline, and in some cases, a very short timeline to work with, and you might find something. But we haven't found anything that's even been worth looking at. Last year we bought a new John Deere motor grader. It made as much sense or more sense based on the price for new versus price for used. So we got a price for a new John Deere motor grader, and I've got a price for a new Cat motor grader. As equally as compared to be possible. The lead time right now, John Deere has a price increase that goes in after Thursday of this week of 5%. If the order is placed before Thursday or by Thursday. Caterpillar, price is good, whether or not they have any price increases moving forward, they've indicated it would not be affected by the purchaser, like heavy trucks have been doing here lately. John Deere's lead time is, what, 7 months out, be about December of this year that they could deliver a machine. Caterpillar is out 14
14 months approximately. For actually the John Deere would be a 2023 model year, 770G. Base model, say base, in the sense it's got everything that we would want on it, including snow equipment, which would match the Caterpillar equivalent. John Deere came out last year or the year before with what they call a premium circle. You don't have to adjust the circle, things that are closed up, that's not the word I want to say, but it is, so to speak, does have a cost to that. So without that option, the price would be $328,850 for a Caterpillar 140, what used to be called M's are now called the next gen, I think is, if I looking at this, $331,950. We got $3,100 difference between those two.
Which is a better machine?
I don't have an answer to that. Doug and I have been talking in the last 24 hours.
Well, one's 7 months out, the other's 14 months out.
Right.
Yeah,
The new John Deere that we bought last year, that's in Newhall, has got just over 500 hours on it. Did a $500 service recently. We've had 0 issues with it from day one. Back in 2018, give or take, we bought a 140 M3 that went to Mount Auburn. And during its first initial uses, there was a few issues, covered all under warranty, but all had to be dealt with more than 2 different companies. Caterpillar has made some improvements from that standpoint. They appear to be less parts availability oriented than what they used to.
With cat.
With cat, you used to be able to get anything and everything, and they are discontinuing some of their older parts now and appearing to stay more current. Kind of sounds like some of their service-oriented stuff appears to be lessening to some degree. But because they made some changes on the 140, I don't know. You know, certainly you have some people that are very cat-oriented because of the name. Our experience with John Deere right now for the first 500 hours has been excellent. John Deere, Lake County has been running some John Deere equipment. They've been very happy with that. Actually, the John Deere machine that we sold at auction that replaced that one in U-Haul actually didn't have any major work done to it the length of time the county owned it from day one. It had reached probably reached its service life that had we kept it much longer, I think we would have been putting money into it, but fortunately we did not. We have a similar vintage machine that's got a few thousand hours less. I remember Doug was telling me it's over in Garrison right now that's showing some problems. That would be from an hours use standpoint might be 4 or 5 down the line in our fleet, but it's probably in the top 2 right now and needing to be replaced before we throw major expenses into it. From our experience and our perspective, I don't know. We which one is the better machine, to answer your question, Gary. Because of the timeline that is here, with delivery, guess a thought that we have maybe is comparing these two head to head, even though they're 7 months apart on delivery. And by the John Deere that'll get bought in fiscal year 23's numbers or budget, and the CAT is gonna be late May, June of 24 of delivery, which is gonna be right on top of fiscal year 24. Or, yeah, budget, 23. July 1 of 23, for fiscal year 24 budget, that whether or not if it's delayed slightly, it's gonna be a July payment anyway, you know? But looking at maybe both machines that take up both of the next fiscal years and comparing the two, that's, I think, my thought process maybe at the moment. $3,100 is nearly the same price for those two machines with that cost. I definitely would go with the Premium Circle on the John Deere machine, which does add $7,800 to that. But based on what we're seeing as well as those that have it, it's well worth that if you don't have to ever deal with adjusting the circle throughout the life of the machine.
So this price for John Deere don't include that 7,800?
No, it would be $336,650 if you put Premium Circle on it. But if you want to compare the same circle manufacturer, so to speak, or setup on the Caterpillar and the John Deere, you need to take the Premium Circle off to compare them apples to apples.
No.
I don't know if you guys have any thoughts or concerns that his talking about a commitment, I guess, for fiscal year 24 towards the motor grader that we haven't even budgeted for, or even talked about from a, from a county expenditure standpoint, but if, with heavy equipment of some sorts being, 14 months out, if you were gonna consider CAT, even if you want two of them, you're talking 14 months from now, you may get it in fiscal year 23, which I have budgeted for a motor grader. But it could be 15 months, and it might be July 1st, and which delay the purchase of the money would stay in secondary roads and have it available.
Are you running these motor graders all about the same length of time, or some of them going out 20,000 hours?
Doug's been figuring things with a costing and analysis, I guess, at about 15,000 hours on replacement right now. I mean, we used to try to run them 20,000 hours plus. The old CAT, particularly the older model CAT motor graders that we had, we would typically do an in-house rebuild, and try to trade them before we did a second one. We were successful some of the times and not successful other times, but with parts availability on old CAT equipment, that was an option that we felt made sense. Right now, it is appearing to be an unviable option if Caterpillar isn't going to continue to stock their older model machine components. So,
Throwing this out here, don't have to put no money down, do we?
Nope.
You just gotta sign your name.
Are you talking for future or just this one?
Either one of them.
guarantees the price.
Yeah, I guess what I'm looking at, would it be dumb?
Take them both. That's what I'm saying, I think.
Take them both.
Take both, buy two motor graders, one
Yeah.
John Deere, which will easily get delivered in fiscal year 23, which has been budgeted for, to purchase.
Okay.
The Caterpillar one, if you were to buy that one, coming in 14 months from now.
Now, you wanted to pick one or the other.
No, well, I mean, the option that I would be suggesting to you today is buy 2 John Deeres, and what John Deere would do is the same thing that they did with the loader for us right now, is that you pay rent towards the purchase until you got to fiscal year till July 1 of 2023.
Okay.
You could buy 2 cat machines,
Okay.
or I'm throwing out, let's buy, maybe buy one of each, and we can, we can have 2 of the newest and latest model machines head to head, and it may dictate what we wanna do moving forward. I mean, right now, I think these are the 2 best motor graders on the market that work for county applications. We continue to evaluate other ones. Another dealer has been working with a major manufacturer, and it's come out with a new motor grader that's very basic. It is too basic at this point to accommodate our needs, but 2 years from now, that may change. I know they're back and forth talking with the manufacturer directly and getting operator feedback on what they have, and whether they make changes or not, we'll wait and see. I have seen that with other heavy equipment manufacturers over the years. We've tried a few and didn't feel that panned out, and we turned around and either we exercised the buyback on one of them, the others we got rid of when we could, type of deal. But from what I see right now, there's a lot of operator satisfaction with John Deere machine. The John Deeres have made a huge improvement from where they were 25 years ago. Caterpillar is Caterpillar, they tend to make quality equipment, but whether it's the same quality in respect to its competition today as it was 25 years ago, that might be my statement, I guess, on the difference between them and the competition.
Now with John Deere, will they give us a better rate if we take 2? No?
No.
Going up 15%. From
I
35
understand that, but
or 5%, I'm sorry.
No,
we take,
no.
they just bid 1, right? Or was that bid good for 2?
That bid is good for 2 machines.
Okay.
With, I think, compared to the list price and what we're paying, I think some of it's a government discount that is many times offered on numerous things. Whether there's some dealer involvement there, I could tell you, but the salesman said whether you buy 1 or 2 machines, this is the price. Now, if you were buying 12 or 15 of them, I think that may come into your question and play, but for 2 machines, the price is this premium.
The problem is if you get 2 John Deeres, they'd both be here in about 7 months.
Correct.
Of which we don't have the second one budgeted.
No, I mean, they would offer to rent it to us for $3,500 a month, kind of like we do with the loaner, and the full rental price would be deducted off the purchase price, and so you pay the balance on July 1 of 23. So
That's doable.
Depends on the one that we're using, is it gonna be span?
The one we're using, will it make it 14 months?
Well, it was under we weren't gonna buy 2. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. We're gonna buy 1, but is it smart to buy 2 if we got one that's limping along?
How many hours are on a lot of these machines? Since I've been a supervisor, I know we got 1 from Orley, got 1 from Alpine, Newhall.
One of them had 20 some thousand hours on it. It was a cat, I think.
And then everything else, I guess, north here, I don't know what the hours are, how old the machines they are.
3 of the 4 machines north of Benton are all M-series machines. One of them was bought brand new, the other two were bought used, with hours on them. The fourth one is an H model, if I recall right, and would be in, would be reaching 15,000 hours in fiscal year 25, I think. There's fiscal year 25, we might have, I think, 3 machines that are close to that hour range, depending on what the operators put on it between now and then. You know, depending how the next few months go, you know, if a John Deere model was one of the ones that we got, the machine that I wouldn't say it's limping along, but it's burning oil at a little bit higher rate than you want to see. I'm not sure the manufacturer would tell us if we're burning oil yet, but we're burning oil more than we're burning on other machines. Whether that one at the time of delivery would appear to be the one that needs to be addressed first and foremost, or whether the person thought one with more hours would make sense, and maybe that's the second one replaced. But I think that the one that we're starting to have some concerns about would be one of the two. And whether you're looking at it, you know, from a known 5% increase on John Deere before the end of the week, or, you know, timeline on delivery on the Cat machine, that I think it makes sense to go ahead and get a machine ordered for fiscal year 24 also.
Makes sense.
But going back to Gary's question as to which one is better, I don't think we feel we know the answer to that, but I don't have, you know, anything really negative heavily to say about one or the other here.
So with that $7,800 attachment, that's a circle, what'd you call that?
Premium circle.
Premium circle.
Instead of having to routinely adjust the shims on the
Right.
circle of the machine, this one is enclosed, and so you don't have to make those adjustments.
Is that available on the Cat?
It is not.
It's not, so you have to manually
So
adjust it.
routinely with maintenance, that is part of an hour interval adjustment that you check that. And they have made it easier because they've changed where their shims are located. It used to be a little bit more of a pain in the butt, but John Deere's was a lot worse, if I recall right. And with Premium Circle makes that major pain in the butt eliminated completely, but Cat has made it easier for them to adjust their circles now too.
Well, I think we ought to order 2 John Deeres.
You wanna make it a motion?
Okay, I'll make that
I'll
motion.
second it.
Two John
You're
Deere's.
kinda up to that, huh?
And are you doing the premium then?
Yes.
Yes,
336.
yes, yes.
336, 650.
Or 650.
Yep.
I had it wrote down right.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You're coming out of Martin's?
Correct.
Yeah, stop there Thursday.
I guess. We could take delivery. Whatever,
We will take delivery.
I mean, we could put our old machine, we could sell our old machine. And then we could actually put it into service whenever the time comes. In other words, it would be a year from.
We will.
Yeah, they're gonna go.
Yeah. One will be
work.
One will be,
Pedal the old one now.
one will be leased for a short
Yeah.
period of time.
Right.
But we wouldn't even need to lease it.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
because of the budgets.
Say they both come in December and say you can't get them till 24, till after July. So we'll have to lease them from technically December if they come.
One of them,
One
of them.
One you will, but one you won't.
Right.
So you got December, January, February,
Seven
March,
months.
April, May, June, 7
Seven
months.
Six,
If they
7
come,
months, so.
if they come on time. Nothing says.
$20,000 to $25,000 in
Yeah.
rent, but that will be
Not
applied
the bill.
towards the purchase price, and so
Yeah.
you will pay that much less.
It worked out good for the payloader this winter, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Smart thing we did. You did.
Makes sense.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't know how much research you have done on 61st Street. Dirt Road, Southtown. I had reached out to the consultant that had put a quote together a year ago for a survey, 3 different concepts, and time spent meeting with all individuals. I asked him to review that quote. Felt that if things were going to move forward, it would probably be a county project, and the consultant would be just dealing with county, and would be involved with, would need to be involved with a bunch of meetings, potentially. And so, if you take the meetings out, $7,500 was the survey quote last year, $7,800 is those prices. The concepts a year ago, I don't remember if those were 6,000 or if they were 5,500. Anyway, to put some concepts together which would kind of help address how much ground is needed based on how you want the road to look. Do you want it this wide? Do you want, how flat are the slopes do you want on the 4 slopes? 3-to-1 slopes can take you out more than a 2-to-1 slope is. How wide the ditches, but all the question has been, how much additional ground would be needed without survey, I don't know, and unless you throw some design thoughts into it, and with some adjustments to try to meet the minimums, so to speak, what adjustments could be done. But last year doing the meetings, the concepts and the survey, I think was $15,500, give or take. Taking out some time spent meeting with people, and it just time has money. So it's be $13,800 just to do the survey and to put some really rough concepts together with some rough costs. Whether you wanted to move forward with just to find that much information out, a couple weeks ago the question was asked with, since we were gonna try to do some of that in-house last fall through the winter, was there money saved with that person being gone at the moment? Well, we ended up hiring a consultant and some material testing to finish out the construction year last year. I would say, if you wanna get fine-tuned and look at line items, we spent what we have had in unpaid salary, but there's, I think, $14,000 in my budget that I could do this, and I'm not gonna get any closer to answering the questions that this would do this year, the way I see things right now, in-house. Without an outside party doing it, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, yep.
And so, this question, without somebody moving outside party doing it, I think we're asking the same question a year from now. And possibly, and where are we at? And I don't know, how strongly or not, the county feels about this project, but, $14,000 probably isn't bad money spent, even if we don't
has some major city of Benton impact that we want, and the city of Benton agrees to participate in, let's include a portion of this cost as a reimbursement later on. Versus, are they on board, are they interested, and we wanna know right now before we move to this point. I don't know how you three feel about that, but that's just a thought about moving forward that, we can find out what that impact is without the survey. I mean, you can talk about the 50-foot right of way that's there now, and you want 60 more feet just to near a 66-foot right of way. Well, 66-foot right of way up next to 218 isn't gonna work. Now, you got 100 feet right now right of way at 218 at the intersection, because they bought some of that when they redid part of that tapers back to 50 feet. But if you were to potentially mirror the proposal that was asked by those wanting to improve that with a 36-foot top, and I don't want vertical four slopes now, let's take it to 3 ones, you know, and I just do some rough guessing from what the ditch elevation and road elevation is. I think you could hit a 90-foot right of way real easily, maybe even 100, you know, and we got 50 right now, you know. It might fit in 66 feet after you get past 218 a little bit, but those numbers, I don't know for sure. I'm doing some really rough figuring, and a survey could nail that down much tighter, and we can see what the potential impacts are gonna be, and then start discussing if you wanna move forward, do you wanna take it from the north, or only the south, or do you wanna do it equally and get involved with the city of Benton more so, but, if, I don't know, you know, short of we talking to the city of Benton again, last year the question was, what's the urgency, and, yeah, we have other projects that we're doing, and as money becomes available, we work, you know, we're shelving them and doing them as time allows, or money allows. We don't have this one on the shelf even to talk to them, and I don't know that you're gonna get the answer from the city of Benton, like I found a year ago, whether they're on board or not on board on this, so, I don't know. Well, what I took out of that, they're on board, no money. So, I haven't met with them yet, I just got that information from Haley's office last Thursday. So one of the things to do today is get on the agenda with them, with the council and the mayor. And I wanna know, I will have our friendly farmer come along and let's hear their mind.
At least we know what the survey would cost.
Yes. Yes.
With regard to the narrowed right of way, is the road the same width? Or is the road narrowed up too?
The road's narrow. The road's probably a little bit narrower, I mean, you've only got the attempt of having a ditch on both sides of the road right now, in some areas are very minimally there, because you've only got 50-foot right of way to work with. And take a tape measure, I guess, and measure the road itself, it wouldn't be much narrow. It's certainly not 30 feet wide, it might be 25, 26 foot wide, which you would find in a few places in the county. For the most part, county roads are all 28 feet or wider. That's typically how we create them at, and some of them have gotten wide over time. That's what happens with this one a lot of times, is the equipment uses it and more of the stormwater runs off of the road type of deal, but you could not build the road with the current minimum design standards that are out there right now at 50-foot right of way. You might be able to do it on 66 feet on 2/3 of that road, but I know where you approach, or where it gets close to 218, use this as a taper down to 50. You might find that 100, you need to extend east for a little ways before you taper back into something narrower, certain of that, you know, but, and hopefully not more, you know, but there's another question that I can't answer right now either. And so,
What are the projected buildings out there? I mean, if we're gonna build houses on the south side of that road, there's a good chance that we wanna make that a 4-lane road at some point in time, maybe not
we
now.
won't be able to.
What's
That'll
that?
be the city of Benton.
On the south side of the road.
Yeah, that'll still be the,
We're talking the north, cities on the north side,
yeah, the city will just incorporate that in then.
on the north side.
It's already incorporated in. On the
What
north
he's
side.
talking about is the south
I
side.
know, but like I said, when that time comes, they'll just incorporate that into town.
Well, that's something that you need to talk, well, they need to be aware of,
Well, they know this.
but there's no reason for us as a county to buy any extra or anything unless they want it. And if they want it, then they should probably say so now
Well,
and come
like I
forward
said,
a little.
they think it's a good idea, don't they, at that meeting a year ago? But there's no money budgeted for it.
Maybe that's a way to get them off of dead center. I don't know.
I mean, right now, they don't
Have
have
no
any,
idea what the survey would cost.
and they've got development plans for that subdivision out there right now. You know, they're not going any farther south right now. They're talked about, you have an ag stricken ground that, Anderson donated to the school district that the FFA is overseeing, I think, you know, as ag involvement, with the school, you know, and right now they're envisioning that as remaining as ag education, you know, an ag field for ag education, but whether they have a 20-year outlook and what they think they're gonna do, I don't know, you know, but for, you know, I would say, you know, equal money or less money, I think, you know, if the consultant was needing to attend city council meeting, board meetings, that was gonna involve a little bit additional cost from that perspective, and right now, I think that with or without the city of Benton's involvement, it's probably a county project, and is there a need for them to be involved with that many political bodies right now, just from their surveying concept? That they can present to me, and I can just bring it to you and proceed accordingly. And so, right now, they could, you know, fit it in with their survey crew, they're not impacted, or not jammed with schedules, it sounds like right now, that, you know, they could proceed, if given direction, you know, they could get started on the survey here in the next 2-3 weeks, you know, and if they did a little bit of preliminary work last spring, but have things put together, you know, even later, early summer, having stuff put together for some real rough costs and concepts, but, I didn't know where you, you as a board were at with this, whether you were interested in proceeding with the very preliminary stuff, as I would call that, with this proposal. Even felt that way a little bit last year, but I felt last year you wanted some city of Benton buy-in with the money that went with it, even if it was only $4,000 or $5,000 towards that cost. I'm just throwing out a suggestion, maybe we just do it and we add that into their cost. So you'd have that 13,800 in your budget? Okay. think go ahead and do it. We've been kicking this can down there on the road here the last 3 years. And I'm just afraid I'll get the same broken record when I get on the council, but, you know, it's a good idea, but. I mean, right now, the road itself is entirely in the county. That's up to the city of Benton, but there is no, outside of additional land purchase, you have no current land that is taxed on the county levy. It's all city levy property. Granted, it's immediately to the north and touches this road and uses this road to access some of it. You need to survey to figure out how wide to put the road anyway. You're gonna take more ground from the west end next to 218 than you will halfway down into the east. Which I get that. What's your feelings?
My feelings is you were gonna go to a meeting. You now know how much a survey would cost.
Okay.
Before we did not, we were just spitballing.
Yeah, I understand.
Now you know what a survey would cost,
Okay.
and if they would choose to
Help participate,
help with that,
okay?
I mean, I would imagine that they would have something in their budget.
Okay, I guess we'll leave it at that. Okay. Let me go, would you like to come along when I set this up again?
What's he gonna tell you that you don't know already?
I know it, I just. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
When I find out what time, you know, it'll take me a time item, like it was last time, that we.
I mean, I'm thinking last time they talked about getting together with city administrator and drafting a 2080 agreement, but, you know, is a 2080 agreement really necessary just for the preliminary stuff? The 2080 would be necessary for a total project cost, but we don't know what a total project cost would be at this point.
Yeah, we got this survey.
You know,
Yep.
I think, you know, from a frontage standpoint, if you measure both sides of the road, the city of Benton is on approximately, city limit touches about 30% of the frontage of this given dirt road. You know, 30% of $13,000, $14,000 is about $4,000, give or take, you know.
I can't help but think they would have that in their budget.
Because, you know.
I mean, I
whether
hate to
they-
think they're running it that close.
Whether they do or don't, you know, that's, I think, really the question, probably along this lines, at least what has been suggested from the group, those wishing to see the improvements, and I haven't heard anything from you three saying strongly differently than that, so I just use that as a tool, you know, and, whether you wanna see that commitment and that participation up front, or whether you wanna collect it on the end. I was just throwing out that, doing it at the end and just getting started in a direction that we can answer the total cost project sooner.
You know, even if it got passed next week, how long would it take for it to happen? Be lucky to be done next year. They didn't have the money now.
The survey?
Oh.
We're talking about the survey.
Yeah, we're just talking survey.
Yeah. That's all we're talking.
We're not-
Find out how much they would have to budget.
Yeah.
It'd take a while. Even if they were all gung ho about getting it done, it'd take quite a while.
Well, it'll take over a year,
Yeah.
because they just got their budget, you know, this one that is finalized, and that's gonna start in July now, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're 22, 23.
Yeah.
And that'd be a 23, 24 at the earliest.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you said that, Bud said that night that we got a lot of projects we wanna do, and we set them on the shelf, and when we got extra money, then we pull them off the shelf, and.
But it'd give you a good indication if they're willing to jump in on the survey, give you a very good indication if they're willing to jump in on the total project.
Right, right.
And I realize it's all currently within the county,
Yeah, yeah,
currently.
yeah.
But the indication I got was right away, they wanted it split equally, north and south, not just all from one side or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I took away from that meeting.
Well, that makes sense anyway, cause the road,
Well, lots of things make sense, but it doesn't always happen.
yeah.
So, but, you know,
All right, well, like I said, let me get this, the meeting deal going. I'll go with Benton and what they say.
it's just gonna give you a good sense of participation. Are
Yeah.
they gonna wanna participate 23, 24? And if not, then why are we spending money now?
Yeah.
And it's only gonna get higher priced
Mm-hmm.
as we go further. I get it, everything is. So, but.
Okay.
Have your meeting.
Thanks, Myron.
Mm-hmm.
You did assign ones back there, yeah.
Yes, you did.
From a COG standpoint, Tracy, I just seen, can't make a PAC meeting tomorrow myself, give us training. But City of Benton has a project that they want to do in the 4-year step.
Okay.
West First Street,
Yeah.
218, past our place, out of our.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that there was talk of moving forward and doing something. I know their city engineer was doing some survey work, I think, last year, but they are submitting that as a project,
Okay.
SDBG funding.
Okay, so that'll be talked about Thursday then.
So you have your
Mm-hmm.
meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I said tax levy, whatever recommendations, this is Wednesday, but
Yeah, they asked me to actually come to the meeting.
I thought we were gonna have a full-fledged face-to-face meeting, but it's being done virtually.
Really?
But I got some training to do with some software construction admin moving forward, all DOT projects that are let in April of this year moving forward, we can start using this new construction administration. I did some training of it 2 years ago, but we've never used it, so I'm gonna refresh myself tomorrow with the, those two.
Okay. One side note, dirt road west of New Hall, the locals got me over there Saturday night, take a look at it. It's worse than I thought it was. That bridge. When I was over in Tama County this winter hunting, I wonder if a guy could do that. What they end up doing, they put a bunch of 3 24-inch culverts in a row, and they cemented them in both sides, shaped it down on between the culverts. Oh, there's probably 2 foot between them. And then you drove over it. So when the creek actually comes up, go over top on the cement, and on a normal day or normal year, it goes through the culverts. Have you ever seen any of them?
On paper.
I thought it was real slick. And these were on a dirt road, both of these were on a dirt road.
Yeah, that's basically what the city of Benton has on their sidewalk out there. Just,
Okay.
Past it.
That's gotta be quite a bit cheaper than actually building a bridge.
Yeah. What size culverts would best be used would be a question, you know. And along those thoughts, it crossed my mind a little bit, you know, but I didn't know the
at what size that would be and was trying to, looking at some options that would take maybe more flow than that, but not necessarily a bridge layout, or. Well, see, east of Keystone, B and K, you guys did the I-beam deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the same way, that's.
Yeah.
But,
We got a bunch of those that Petermeyer came up with,
Okay.
that design around the county.
yeah, I mean,
Started
that's a
doing
good
that.
concept.
Late
But-
seventies.
Steel price right now is
Mm-hmm.
just throwing it out there,
Mhm.
I was shocked how bad that bridge was, that south wall tipped in and the ledge went down on top of it, so there's probably 2 foot of fall in the bridge itself, that you got dirt over top of it, so you don't really notice it,
Mm-hmm.
except on the south side of the bridge, since that wall tipped out, well, now you got a divot in the road itself. So, I mean, I'm thinking liability, the county. If it's dry or frozen, go down there and take a look at it. You know what it looks like, I'm sure you do, but. Either that or we're
Oh,
just gonna have to close that road.
A couple of their thoughts this morning as I was coming to work. Yeah, okay, did it get cold enough last night? Can I succeed, or will I look like others that have failed?
Okay.
Should call somebody ahead of time so that they're getting close before we go down.
Alright, that's all I got for you. Get a chance to look at it. I know Randy knows how bad it is too. Oh, mechanics. Got anybody lined up yet? Or applications or anything?
I have 2 applications on my desk. One of, right, wrong, or indifferent. I was kind of waiting until where things were gonna end up, and we've kind of come to, for the most part, a ending point with today's MOU type of deal. It may or may not have made a difference. I don't know, but
Okay,
we're gonna have a.
Probably another one.
I know, we
next
have,
week.
we've talked about that, and
Yeah,
say
yeah.
HR and I have started that conversation yesterday ourselves. Jay and I we both had the same question to each other, for the most part, so. And so that, as she mentioned earlier, is something that is being discussed at the moment.
Okay. Alright, sounds good. I'll let you go.
Thank you, Myron.
Yep.
Yeah, have a good one.
Million reports, Gary.
Regional mental health. They found $5 million. About
I think that's what they're estimating from all of us that have to give back.
about 4 days before they leave, 5 days before they leave. And, there's a lot of board members that are not happy about that, because we're gonna have to give it back to the state if we don't spend it. But we've been running about a $20 million budget, and, we're gonna run a $35 million budget this year. It'd be a $40 million budget, this 5.9 million.
So in other words, some of the other member counties have not spent down very well.
Well, this is all regional money.
I get that.
The rest of the regions in the state are short money, but we've been doing a really good job, as far, in my opinion, as far as spending money. And, well, like Benton County had extra money, and we were spending it down as time progressed. Well, it's a mess.
I think we did pretty good too.
Yeah.
But we had options to use it for and to offset, so some counties probably don't have those.
Well, this is extra money that we've got, and it's gonna go back to the state if we don't spend it. And we
we got about 3 months to get it done,
Yeah, but who's we?
the region.
That, okay, that's a region, not Benton County.
Isn't that why we have to give them all that funding ahead of time, cause I thought they were gonna have, I mean, that's why we have to pay it out for the end of June, so that they can go ahead and spend it on something.
Yeah.
We found 5.9 million
Yeah.
bucks.
Collectively, I think
Right.
is what he's saying.
But that's what I
Between
thought,
all the
they already
counties.
kinda had some ideas on some of that. No?
This is new money, and like Lynn County, they wanted us to spend a bunch of money on their building. We didn't, I said no,
Well, Johnson County wanted that too, I thought.
no. We didn't, I didn't want any money from our county being spent in Lynn County on a building. So, and the board agreed with me. So. I don't know the answers to it, but there's people that are really distraught about this. And we'll probably know in a week or so what's gonna happen.
The good news is, even if it goes back to the state, that's less taxation,
Yeah,
you know, to the residents of the state to help fund mental health.
it won't happen, it won't get that far, because there's other regional boards that are short money. Like Des Moines, for example, they got one county in their region, and that's why this is all taking place, is because they've been short for years. They can't manage their money. So,
They didn't levy enough, obviously, for years.
well, they couldn't. And that's the other problem. Some areas could only levy like 20, and some areas were levying 38, almost 40. And they couldn't change it because it was set in law.
We don't have no meetings.
So
No, because we
I can
extended that.
come back next week because
That's
we'll have more answers
So
in
once
a week or
you
so.
guys approve that today, once we hear from the state, then we'll set those dates up.
But 5.9 million is a lot of money.
Not just today.
Yeah, fair, we'll get by.
When we got a $20 million budget.
Oh,
Like I
I
said,
don't think you
tell them to help pay for our towers, and that's used for mental health.
sent that final rule to them for like.
okay.
It was gonna drive me crazy otherwise.
Casey's gives it to them.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I'll listen to it today.
You go back and listen?
Yeah,
Oh boy.
don't you?
Not unless I forget, like, miss out something on your motion.
When I start thinking about something that took place and who said what.
But those are archived out on our
Mhm.
YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
I have that audio too, so.
Mm.
I can just fast forward.
I had EMA meeting last night, pretty well quiet on that. Scott's, well, I guess that was one of the questions I was asking about. Dwayne Arnold ain't done doing the rods yet.
Oh,
They're still moving, nope, they're still moving them up the hill to the cement bunker. Sirens are still active yet. So, I guess that was about it.
how soon are they gonna be deactivated?
They're hoping here in April that they'll finally get the rods out of there.
This is just for the nuclear, plant, not
Yeah.
for our emergencies.
No. 'Cause that's how it got started, is asking about the sirens about, he says, no, they're still active yet. Because Dwayne Arnold is not done yet.
Sure.
So we'll talk about it in a minute. We didn't talk about the towers or, they really don't have much to do with that, it's all Scott and the sheriff and me, so. What is?
Under Heartland, we talked about cyber insurance. One of the big issues is, like the landfills. How much cyber insurance do we need with landfills? And should they be covered under their own? I had to step out about halfway through that meeting when it came to that part, so.
And then they're getting a lot of input, like making second or two-factor authentications. I mean, they're gonna start requiring all these other stuff, or they're not gonna cover these entities, which
I know.
I can see that's a big deal.
Yes, it is, so.
So I think we're gonna have to prove that, in all honesty, those companies are.
My other meeting was HACAP, and that's normal.
And then you have the juvenile detention.
Yes, which I've already talked about.
This is getting worse with the schools and stuff, this juvenile detention.
I forwarded this map to you in an email.
What is this a map of?
The sand pit north of town.
Before that,
I did it last week. There were some concerns as to where they were doing their activity. And basically what that is along the road up towards that residence is going to be a storage area. Basically, that's where they're stockpiling. And it just shows how their intent is. The actual sand pit is gonna be back on the property, further back.
so in other words, they're not doing anything wrong.
According to the land use policy that we have, there's nothing that we could do anyway, even if they did. There's no right or wrong on this. It's just what they had agreed to previously was that they would have the stockpile up by the road, and that's what they're doing. It doesn't look like it, but that's what they're doing. Current land use policy, this is about a 43 CSR. They do whatever they want to do.
Has anybody heard anything on what's going on with this, solar panel stuff?
Haven't heard a word. Is there anything else, sir?
No,
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.